So you've probably clicked on this video because you might be deciding whether you want to study dentistry. Well, by the time I finish talking, hopefully you'll have a much better idea about dentistry as a degree, but I also want you to have a way more realistic perspective about what studying dentistry is really like. And I'll be talking about common misconceptions that people often believe are true. This is what you have to know before applying to dental school. Now, I first off want to start by explaining that I absolutely love dentistry and I have no regrets whatsoever. I'm so glad I chose this degree to study, and I'm currently at the University of Bristol. Now, I have to mention all of this at the beginning because I don't want you to get the wrong perception about dentistry. I want this video to bring to light some of the mistakes I made and some of the things I had no idea about when I was applying to dentistry. Now, the first point I want to talk about is the clinical exposure early on, or the lack of it. So you might think that since you're applying to dental school and you have 5 years of studying dentistry, you'll have loads of time for clinical exposure, you'll be hands-on straight from the beginning, but this just isn't the case. I know that all universities will have a different course structure, but the majority of them will not be super clinical at the start of the first year. I was learning a lot of biochemistry, physiology, which is pretty much biology and chemistry at A level. We had so much just pure content learning, and these might not even be as relevant to dentistry as you may think. For example, we also learn anatomy about the whole body, and we learn all the blood vessels, the veins, and the nerves. We learn about the breathing systems, the brain, and so much more. Now, hearing that so much of your course will be related to science shouldn't be surprising, but I think I was surprised at the ratio of dentistry to other science things that we learnt in year one. You may also be disappointed that you're not going to be using your hands very much at the beginning, because although we do go to clinics and although we do practice a few things on each other, there isn't a whole bunch of manual dexterity that you need to learn. And hearing all of this, you may even question if dentistry is the right choice for you. Now, in dentistry, I feel like it's one of those courses which require you to have a never-ending source of self-confidence and belief in yourself and your skills. You will most definitely face numerous setbacks, whether that be in applying for the course, studying content, or when you're learning in clinics. No matter what happens, you'll always have to remain calm and maintain a positive attitude, which can be really difficult sometimes if you've got an unhappy patient, for example. Therefore, I really wanted to bring attention to mental health, as it's something that can affect a lot of us. Students like you have so much stress placed on your shoulders, which can create this sort of never-ending pressure. And I can completely understand that overwhelming feeling, because unfortunately it's something quite common amongst people our age. That's why I wanted to say thank you to BetterHelp, who this video is in paid partnership with. Sometimes we just need someone to talk to about our worries and our feelings, which is essentially what BetterHelp provides. They will connect you with a credentialed therapist, whether that be over phone call, video chat, or even just messaging if that's most comfortable for you. The point is that you'll be able to talk to someone who'll give helpful, unbiased advice to how you're feeling. To get started, all you have to do is fill out a questionnaire to assess your specific needs, and then you'll get matched with your therapist, in most cases 48 hours or less. You have so much flexibility as the sessions are online, and you can schedule a time that's convenient for you. And if the therapist you're first matched with doesn't feel like the right fit, which can be common when starting therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist for no additional cost. If you think this might benefit you, then click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/JadenYee, where you can get 10% off your first month of BetterHelp to see if it helps you. We strain our brains daily with so much information and force it to study hours on end. But we never really think about taking care of our brain the way we might think about taking care of our bodies and what we eat. One of the most important things I've realized from someone who studies a lot is that being a student shouldn't mean we have to sacrifice our mental well-being. Our emotional health isn't just something we can neglect. It's a big part of who we are and can completely change how we look at life. These past couple of years of me studying dentistry has sometimes meant that I haven't made much time for myself, especially when reflecting on my mental health. But I realized that we make time for the things we care about, and I'm learning to focus more on my health as a whole, and that definitely means giving more priorities to activities which simply make me feel happier. As you're hopefully able to see, my main goal for this channel, and the reason why I post videos, is to help you guys and share my experiences so that we can both learn from them. That's why I value brands such as BetterHelp, who this video is in paid partnership with, since they also care for you and want the best for you. Once again, for 10% off, there'll be a link in the description, or you can visit betterhelp.com/JadenYee, which helps to support the channel. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is stress. This includes your timetable, your time management skills, your organizational skills, and just free time in general. The work-life balance in dentistry can be good and can also be bad. It really depends on how you take it and what you do with your time. Now, during A-levels and GCSE universities, it all seemed quite simple and easy to balance your work and your life. Because mainly you're at school the whole day, then you come home and relax and maybe do a few hours of revision. But at dental school, you're on your own and you have so much independent learning that you have to do. So much of it is by yourself and you have to really focus and put all of your energy into your learning. Now, because of this, lots of people have trouble finding time to do things they enjoy. And obviously you can get overwhelmed quite easily because a lot of the people who are actually in dental school have part-time jobs, which can be super tricky to balance. But the point to take away is that it is possible to balance your time and it is possible to maintain a good, healthy lifestyle. You just need to make use of your time and find a good time management system. I often just make a simple to-do list every night before I go to sleep. I just write simply what I want to accomplish the next day, and therefore I just have to do that and I'll be happy, and then I can do other things I enjoy for the rest of my time. And I know apps like Forest can be super beneficial for people. I'm sure you've heard of it by now. It's basically a Pomodoro timer where you can set incremental study periods and then break periods where you can do whatever you want. There are many ways and methods to balance your time in dental school, so I definitely recommend you start practicing your time management skills before you go to university, because you'll definitely use it a lot. Now, I want to break down a common myth about dental school, and is that you have to be good with your hands and you have to have good manual dexterity before you start to apply. Now, in dentistry, of course, it's super important that you need good manual dexterity and you need to be super good with your hands. But during the application process and during your secondary school life, you really do not need an amazing amount of practice. I've got so many emails of people asking me what can they do for manual dexterity, how can they show their hand skills, etc. But you don't actually need that much because the university is not expecting you to know how to do all these procedures. Of course, it's beneficial to do something with your hands before applying, such as playing an instrument, but it's definitely not required. And when you talk about this, maybe when you're practicing for an interview, just talk about what skills you've learned from doing that and how you've improved. The university really only cares about how you reflect on all the activities that you do. So do not worry if you're not super good with your hands, because you'll have tons of time to develop this whilst you're studying. Now, there's another myth which I hear all the time, and I believed it myself, and that is the hardest part of dental school is getting in. This is just simply not true at all. Although it's extremely competitive to get into dental school because you have to do so many things to apply for it, there are different levels of hard. So when you're applying, the most difficult part is just organizing everything and making sure your application is optimized as much as it can be for dentistry. And obviously you have to do your A-levels, which is by no means easy. In dental school, it's a bit different because although it's a lot less competitive to stay in dental school, a lot of people would argue that staying in is a lot harder because of the sheer volume that you get. Completing all of these years studying dentistry is not easy, and you're not guaranteed to complete it when you start. You have to remain focused for as long as you're in dental school for, which can be super difficult and challenging. So please don't believe that when you get in dental school it will be easy, because I can guarantee you it's not. The true work starts now and you'll start to realize how much you don't know. But don't let this scare you off, because it is a very rewarding degree, and I'm sure you'll be fully satisfied by the time you complete it. Now, I also get tons of emails about work experience. Students like yourselves are often worrying now because it's really hard to get work experience due to a number of factors. And there are loads of options, so I would first start by emailing your local practice, attaching your CV or a cover letter, and just explain that you would like work experience, maybe for a few days or for a week. And just copy this email and adjust it and send it to as many practices as you can and see who accepts you. If this doesn't work, there are also other experiences online that you can book. And even watching YouTube videos about what working in a dental practice is like is better than nothing at all. When you come to applying to dentistry and when you come to talking about your work experience, the university doesn't care what type of work experience you do. You have to put yourself in the university's shoes. So imagine that you've got loads of people applying for dentistry. Every single one of them will have different opportunities in their life. Some may be more privileged than others, so may have more connections to dentistry, so they may get more work experience. But luckily, this is why I don't think the type of work experience you get matters. The university really cares about how you reflect on that work experience, no matter how little or how much you get. You can get the most work experience in the world, but if you've got nothing to talk about, then it's pretty much useless. It's so important about how you word and phrase all of your answers to their questions. This is what part of the optimizing for dental school really means. Although it may seem kind of silly, it's really important to practice, because the university is looking for a student who is self-aware and who can reflect really well and explain what they've learnt and what has interested them. You could literally talk about the most boring thing, and if they think that you're genuinely interested in it, then you're definitely doing something right. So for everyone asking about work experience, please don't worry, because it's so much more about the quality of your learning and about how you've reflected on the whole experience. Now, the next thing you have to know before applying is that you have to be able to respond to criticism well. You cannot take it personally when people get angry at you, when people criticize you, or when people just give you feedback. back. You will get tons of all of this when you join dental school. Sometimes your patient will be super upset and angry at you. Sometimes your supervisor may correct you for doing something wrong. You just can't take it personally, and you have to take every experience and reflect on it positively. You should be able to stay calm under pressure and be confident even if you're not. Imagine that you're the patient and your dentist is more nervous than you. It really doesn't sit well with the patient, and it makes the whole experience so much more stressful than it needs to be. If you act as if you're confident in anything in life, then people won't be able to tell the difference. You're looking to join a career where you're dealing with patients the entire day. You have to be good at communication, you have to be good at teaching, and you have to show your formality. And this starts as you're applying to dentistry. There will be many times during your application process and during dental school where someone will say something and you will not take it nicely and you will not like it. Now, this may play on your mind for a few weeks, but it's important that you actually don't let it get to you. Now, of course, you should be able to learn from your mistakes because you will make so many, but do not take anything personally because everyone around you just wants you to be better. Now, I quickly want to mention that everything I've said in this video is my opinion only, and I've tried to explain what I've learned from my experiences so you don't make the same mistakes. If you have any more questions, then ask them down below or email me. Thank you very much for watching and best of luck in your applications.